Alright guys, so this is going to be my Eleague Boston 2018 major prediction video for the prelims. So this major is a little bit different than the previous iterations of the Swiss system. This time we've got 3 stages that we need to predict instead of just 2. Before it was just the group stage and playoffs, and now it's the prelims, which is effectively what the qualifier section used to be before the major started. But now Valve has made the change that 24 teams will be encompassing the whole major experience, which is a little bit different, but it means more stickers for us and we could put more teams in our pick'em challenge. So these are the teams that we have to choose for the prelims. We got G2 Esports, Cloud9, Flipside Tactics, Nas Vincere or Navi, Mouse Sports, Sprout Esports, FaZe Clan, Vega Squadron, Space Soldiers, Team Liquid, Avantgarde, Renegades, Team Envious, Misfits Gaming, Quantum, and Tyloo. So the team that I think here is going to go 3-0, I think it's a very obvious choice. I believe that's FaZe Clan. So if you look at FaZe Clan and their body of work, they're currently number 2 ranked on HLTV. Since the addition of Nico and Guardian and Olaf, this team has placed first at ECS, second at EPL, second at IEM Oakland, first at ESL1 New York, first at E-League, and although there's been a couple blips on the radar, including a 3rd place finish at Blast Pro Series, this team's been extremely solid. They are very clearly above and beyond the competition that is at this tournament and should cruise through this thing 3-0. The only team that really gives them any trouble would be SK Gaming, but SK is not in these prelims. They're already a Legends team, so they don't have to worry about that. So I think FaZe Clan should definitely cruise to a 3-0 here. My next choice, looking at these teams, is probably going to be G2 Esports. So currently G2 is ranked number 6 on HLTV. They have actually won a tournament since the last major. They won DreamHack Masters Malmo, but other than that they've been pretty inconsistent. They placed 3rd at Epicenter, and besides that they placed 5th at Blast Pro Series and 5th to 8th at E-League. You gotta remember that G2, when they were first formed, was theorized to be like a French super team, and that hasn't really panned out. They do still have Kenny S, who I would say is probably still the best opper in the world. They've got Apex, who's a really solid entry frag, but other than that, MBK, Shox and Body have been kind of letdowns, especially Shox since he became the in-game leader of this team. He hasn't really lived up to the whole potential of what he was supposed to do, with the whole idea of Kenny S and Shox playing together in their prime. That hasn't really panned out. But with all that said, I do think they should still be able to make it out of these prelims. I think G2 is a much better team than a lot of the competition that is that they'll be playing against here to make it to the group stage. So yeah, that's why I think G2 will make it out pretty easily. The next team here that I'm going to choose is going to be Mouse Sports. So Mouse Sports is currently ranked number 9 on HLTV. They have also won a tournament since the last major, which was ESG Tour Mykonos, which was the tournament in Greece. They've also placed 2nd at DreamHack Winter and 2nd most recently at ECS. So this team, I would consider them kind of like a baby phase, right? Like, they've got really good players, but like not like superstar players. They've got Rops, who's been like really, really good and like surprisingly impressive. Kind of like this onliner that they picked up, but he's been really solid for them. You got Oscar, who's asserted himself as like one of the dominant oppers in CSGO right now. And then you also have Sticko and Sunny, who are pretty solid 3rd and 4th options for this team. I would say that the place where Mouse Sports usually struggles the most would be with Chris J being their in-game leader. They don't always have the best set of strats, and they're not the most like, efficient team all the time on their terrorist sides. With all that being said though, I think Mouse Sports is still a pretty solid team. They should make it out of these prelims. They're better than a lot of the competition here. So my next team that I'm going to be choosing is going to be Cloud9. So Cloud9 is currently ranked number 5 on HLTV. Since the last major, they have made a massive roster change. They got rid of Nothing and Shroud and added Tarek and Rush. And since that roster change, they've placed pretty solidly in international tournaments. They had a third place finish at IEM Oakland, third place finish at ESL1 New York, and a third place finish at Eleague. So Tarek and Rush have been really solid for this team. A lot of good individual players with Stewie, Automatic, and Skadoodle. The place where this team suffers, much like Mouse Sports, is sometimes the lack of coordinated strats hinders this team on their terrorist side. And there's not always like a perfect cohesion, and also Skadoodle is sometimes, kind of inconsistent with the op. However, with all these flaws, this team is still really like spectacular individually. At any point, any of these 5 players could really go off and take over a game. And with that being said, I think Cloud9 should have a pretty solid time making it out of these prelims. They're a much better team than a lot of the competition here. Yeah, okay. So my next team that I think is going to make it out of these prelims is going to be Nodus Vincier, also known as Navi. Although Navi is ranked 16 on HLTV, they have actually won a tournament since they formed their new lineup. They won DreamHack Open Winter, which is the only LAN they've attended with this 5-man lineup. So basically, at the last major, Navi added Zeus because Zeus won, PGL Krakow with Gambit, and they were trying to do this 5-man lineup with C still in the lineup, and it wasn't working out. They weren't qualifying for many LANs. The ones they were qualifying for, they weren't like massive international LANs, and they were like bombing out in the group stage. So they added Electronic from Flipside. I think the duo of Simple being one of the best like explosive players in CSGO, coupled with the consistent fragging of Electronic, as shown at DreamHack, could like really help this team become, top 10 internationally again. And I just think the raw firepower alone makes it very difficult for me not to have them advance out of the prelims. I was pretty impressed by what I saw when I watched DreamHack Winter, and I think they're going to continue this year. That's kind of like an unknown factor. Surprise some teams at how prepared Zeus is going to have them. I think they'll make it out of the prelims as well. So my next team that I have going out is going to be Team Envious. So you look at Team Envious, they're currently ranked number 15 on HLTV. They did win a tournament again since the last major, but it was a tier 2 tournament. It was DreamHack Open Atlanta. There wasn't a lot of good teams there. They had a 3rd place finish at DreamHack Open Winter. They then proceeded to place 9 to 10th in IEM Oakland, 7th to 8th in ESL1 New York, and 5th to 8th at Eleague, which isn't very good. The one redeeming factor about this team is that they have RPK, who is currently like in the form of his career right now, and as long as the rest of the team like steps up, they should be able to squeeze out of these prelims. However, one thing to note is that, in my opinion, as long as Sixer is their main opper, this team isn't going to amount to much success. I don't think Sixer is a very good opper. He's more of like a support player, and I personally think Happy is actually a better opper than him, which says a lot. So yeah, until Envy either make a roster swap or switch around their roles in the team, I don't think they're going to be contending for a top 10 spot internationally or going much past the group stage. However, I still do think they have enough firepower to make it through the prelims. My number 7 team that I'm going to pick here is going to be Misfits. So if you look at Misfits, they're currently ranked number 13 on HLTV, and although they don't have a lot of LAN experience, the one LAN they did attend recently, they did place 3rd place, which was the ESL Pro League. They made it to the semifinals. At this tournament, they beat both NIP, North, as well as Hellraisers. Really, really solid teams, two of the 3 of which will be attending the major. So you got Sean Garez, who's like a really solid, in-game leader. He's really like stepped up and shown everyone, why he used to be considered one of the best, a couple of years ago. And then you have the French duo of Devo Duvec and Amanek, who've been, shown to be worth the price of admission for Misfits to bring to NA. Really solid. And then you've also got Sick and Shazam. who, you know, Shazam had a really good tournament, but he's not always going to turn up like that. As long as they play somewhat consistently, Misfits should be able to squeeze out of these prelims. Will they amount to much success in the group stage? Probably not, but I do think they are more talented than some of the other teams that are left to choose from. So for that reasoning, I think Misfits will be able to squeeze out of these prelims. And that leaves us with the final team that I have to choose from here. Some names that jump out would probably be Space Soldiers, who are ranked number 22, the Turkish team. You know, very inexperienced, only really shown to be consistent on one map, which is Cash. They were kind of impressive at the EU qualifier, but the EU minor, but I don't really feel confident picking them personally. I don't know a whole lot about them, and I don't feel super confident in them. Another team that will probably be thrown around would be Flipside, but Flipside is currently ranked number 61 on HLTV. For me, they're too unknown a quantity. I know that they qualified for the last, like, God knows how many majors, but they always seem to just squeeze by and then not amount to much in the group stage. And the last two majors especially, they were really carried by Electronic, who's no longer on the team. They now have seized. Yeah, for that reason, I really just don't feel confident picking them, but they could definitely make it out. And then another team that would probably jump out would be Liquid. So Team Liquid, you know, they're using a stand-in for this tournament. I know they're ranked number 17 on HLTV, but playing with Zeus instead of Steel is not going to help them at all. It's gonna hinder them greatly. And although they could potentially squeeze out, I really don't want to see a team using a coach playing in the group stage. I don't think it's going to be interesting. They're just going to go out in groups, probably like 0-3. So like, I really just don't want them to make it through, but they definitely could. I'd rather see a team that's at full strength be competitive in the group stage. So another team that would probably jump out, it would be Renegades. Renegades is currently ranked number 14 on HLTV, kind of like a mix of Australian and NA players. So since the addition of Nifty and NAF, this team's looked pretty damn impressive on LAN. They actually came first at SLI League Invitational, where they beat Virtus Pro in a best of 3. So this team is definitely on the rise, and if it's not this major they make it out of groups, it'll most likely be the next major. So I'm gonna gamble here and actually pick Renegades. I'm really impressed with how they've been playing. You know, JKS and Azure are still really solid Australian players. And I just think that they are the safest team to go with out of the remaining ones to choose from. Yeah, so for that reason, I'm definitely gonna stick with them there. So these are gonna be my 8 teams that I think will advance through the prelims into the group stage. My 0-3 team that I'm going to choose, to me there's a couple options here. You got Sprout Esports, which is like ex-Penta, who aren't really good. You've got Avant-Garde, who's kind of like a nobody, and you got Tai Lu, who's the Chinese team, playing with a stand-in. Actually, that seems reasonable that they would go out 0-3, but I'm going to actually pick Quantum here. Quantum's ranked number 55 on HLTV. They've never really attended any meaningful international LAN. If you look at their players, I couldn't even tell you who they are. Not very impressive. I just think they're way out of their league here. They're gonna bomb out 0-3. So overall, these are my picks for the the Eleague Boston 2018 prelims. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks for the predictions of the group stage. So yeah, see you later.